What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I am here to talk about the UFC and the matchmaking that's been going on recently and just how I feel about the promotion as a whole, because I feel like there are some problems that are not hard to fix, but they are very easy to notice, and it feels like we've been getting the same fight night every single weekend basically for like a month straight. And it's really, really noticeable now with fucking UFC Perth, okay? Unfortunately, my tickets must have got lost in the mail. Dana was sending me tickets. But it's starting to really dawn on me that the current model of fight nights is, let's get a great main event with someone from the region and then a bunch of fucking NPCs on the undercard. I didn't realize that Matchroom Boxing actually bought the UFC. I didn't realize fucking Eddie Hearn bought the UFC, bro. I didn't realize that fucking Bob Arum, the guy's a fucking scumbag, bought the UFC. Because literally, we have a and I love Jack Jenkins. Don't get me wrong, I love Jack Jenkins. We have a Jack Jenkins Raymond Taverius co-main event to a fight night, dude. And I feel like when you look at all these matchups, there is such a huge flaw in the way that the UFC is running these fight night events. I will be positive though. I will be positive. I'll talk about what I like and what I don't like and what I think needs to change. And I'll also talk about the pay-per-views and what I'm seeing with those as well. So I feel like as a whole, yes, these fight night cards were pretty good. The Chinese one was kind of eh. That one was like the definition of there's two good fights. The rest are literally created characters that no one's ever seen before. The Paris card was a very high finishing rate. Some big names on there, but a lot of unranked randoms as well. A lot of debuts. Same with the Noche card, where it was like the Sphere last year, this year, the only fight worth caring about was Lopez versus Silva. The rest was genuinely no ranked, entertaining, worth watching build up. Like, the fights themselves were good, but what I'm saying is the way that the UFC has built these cards is people will literally, dude, what are you saying, man? There are so many finishes on that card. Literally name 5 people that fought on that fucking China card, bro. Name 5 people that were not in the main or co-main event that fought on that card. You literally can't. That is what I'm saying, right? It is literally boxing type matchmaking, and I do agree that I would rather have these than the fucking Apex cards. I think the UFC has made a good improvement having fight nights in front of a crowd consistently, but now the format is, like I said, you have one good fight at the top, you have a bunch of randoms on the undercard, and you just hope that because you've match made them against complete NPCs, that you get a bunch of finishes. And it's so annoying too, because if you say anything about the actual quality of these cards, I'm not talking about the quality of the fights, I'm talking about the quality of the matchmaking, which I think is very low level. And I feel like the entry level to the UFC has dropped so much when you look at some of these cards. But it's so annoying because if you say anything about it, these fucking fake hardcores are like, bro, don't watch it, man. Dude, casuals literally said this card would be trash. I remember people being like, dude, people were saying 318 was trash. It was! The quality of 318 was fucking dog shit. Kevin Holland was the featured fucking fight against D-Rod. Are you kidding me? Dan Ige co-main event, and you're talking about, dude, what are you saying, man? Dude, people said 318 would be bad. It was, bro. The fights themselves were good. It's not hard to have an entertaining MMA fight. It is not hard to build a fucking UFC card that has a very high finishing rate when you do it like boxing, where you have a great main event and then you put one hyped up guy off the Contender Series versus a guy that's fucking 12-7. It's not that hard to do. It is across the board accepted that MMA is very entertaining. It's probably the most entertaining sport on average compared to boxing or wrestling, or definitely compared to fucking jiu-jitsu or anything like that. But what I mean when I talk about the matchmaking quality and the card quality is the stakes of the matchups. Is there beef involved? Is there any rivalries involved? Is there fucking rankings on the line? Does anyone seriously think Raymond Tavares, if he wins this fight, is close to a UFC oh, maybe he gets a ranked opponent. Oh my God, maybe he's going on a title run. No, he's probably just going to lose to someone else randomly next. Same with fucking Jimmy Crute, Ivan Ersland. You know what I mean? The closest one that's on like a ranked trajectory is fucking Navajo Sterling, or, you know, bloody Tom Nolan, or fucking Jake Matthews. And even then, it's like, nah, probably still going to have 3 or 4 more fights that are unranked. Where is the ranked fighting on these cards consistently? Why is it like, dude, why are you complaining? The main event is great. I'm a MMA fan, not a boxing fan. If I wanted to watch a good fight in the main card and just skip the rest of these jobbers, I would be a boxing fan. This would be bedtime boxing. Me and Lucas would be debating Canelo Crawford 2. That's not the reality I live in. I'm a UFC fan. I expect good UFC cards, consistently well-made cards that have important fights on them, or at least hyped up fights on them, at least fights that I actually give a fuck about. And I don't want to come across as like I'm complaining or the UFC product is so bad. The cards are not like Apex slop. Like last year was Apex slop. There was really low points in 2023 and 2024 in terms of the card quality of the UFC. I would say they've just mellowed out into like copy paste. It's okay type matchmaking. 6 out of 10 matchmaking. You know, just average, acceptable. You can't really complain about the main event. If you look into the card, if you're a hardcore, you're going to be like, well, this is actually a pretty good fight. If you're a casual, you don't give a fuck about any of these fights. You only maybe care about the main event. It is literally copy-paste matchmaking. This is what every fight night is looking like basically in the next couple of months. Top 10 main event with person from area, right? Olberg, Lopez, Nasruddin Imavov, Mingyang Zhang, Oliveira. He's not even fighting for Zeev. This one, oh my god, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to send 2 goofballs down to Canada, right? And even that, you guys don't actually get a top 5 title elimination bout. You get Brandon Allen instead, right? It's literally the same format, and then the rest of the card is basically randoms or one other decent fight. And to me, that is just lazy. That's just copy-paste matchmaking of like 2 ranked fighters. You know, the rest of the card is just a bunch of randoms, you know. And one thing I also don't understand about these regional fight night cards, like, listen, the Davison Figueiredo co-main event, Luque on the card, that's a decent fight night. I'm not really complaining about UFC Brazil. I think that's a decent card. I hope that the main event turns out to be good. You know, UFC Canada, I think that's another card that is decently well put together. The main event took a big hit losing my GOAT Anthony Hernandez, but it's still a, you know, Dorita's there. You know, it's lost a little bit of the stakes, and I feel like that's immediately killed a lot of hype for this card. But this Perth card is a perfect example of what I'm talking about, dude, where it's like, the main event, I'm excited about it. I'm interested in it. The rest of the card, I literally do not give a fuck. And what I don't understand with these regional fight night cards, why are these motherfuckers locked like Pokemon? Like, why can I never see... Am I just never gonna see fucking... Like someone from Australia fight in America? Am I only gonna see Jack Jenkins or Tom Nolan or somebody like that fight in Perth? Am I ever going to see these dudes randomly just get put on a pay-per-view like a normal fucking UFC fight? I don't understand why we do this with these Mexican, these Chinese, you know, the Japanese, or, you know, whatever fighters you want. They're just locked to their region. So we can't do a fight night in Japan unless we have someone from Japan. We can't just have a random fight night in Australia with a good main event unless we've got someone from around. It's so fucking lame, dude. It feels like it's like, you've got sections of the like it feels like DLC. Like it's like, oh, you got to pay the Australia DLC to watch these fighters on the prelims. We can't build them up in America or anything like that. I feel like it's really just copy paste matchmaking. Like I said, it's like, okay, we'll go to China. We'll put these randoms on the card. This guy has to be on there against someone he can beat. This guy has to be there. And that's what they're doing with every single location. So when I talk about the main events, I think they have definitely improved from last year, but some of these undercards are just so weak and shallow. And I understand that the fights themselves may be entertaining, but when I'm talking about the quality of the matchmaking, which I think there is a problem in, we are seeing so many fucking jobbers, dude. There's no other way to describe some of these guys. They are straight up bots. They are straight up 55 overalls, bruh. They are literally brown shirts on prelims of cards. Literally, Dusko Todorovic and Jose Medino main evented the prelims last week. And people, if I say anything, dude, the fights were bangers, bro. What are you talking about, bro? It was literally all finishes, bro. It's like, obviously they were entertaining fights because there was a bunch of randoms fighting, you know, local guys with good records. Like, I feel like you could go down to a local fucking gym and watch an MMA card and see a bunch of finishes. Does that mean it's something worth watching? Does that mean it's something that lives up to the standard of the fucking UFC, where we should be seeing bangers? And we should be seeing fights that matter, like rankings and beef and promotion. And the last thing I'll say about the quality of these cards that the UFC has been putting together, like I said, I think some of these fight nights are actually good. This Brazil one is a pretty decent card, but you're seeing the flaws of this model that the UFC is currently using, where if the main event falls through, you know, Fiziv's out of this one now. We don't know who Oliveira's fighting. Rainier Derrida versus Anthony Hernandez. That was a really, really hyped up main event, especially for the fans that are really invested in the rankings. And I feel like that adds hype to fights when you know, holy fuck, dude, we're seeing a title elimination bout. The winner of this might get a title shot. It's all gone now. You now get Brendan Allen. You now get Brenal versus Derrida. Still a great fight to me. I'm a hardcore. I'm going to be excited about this. And people sometimes misconstrue me ranting as like, oh, I'm not happy about this. I'm just saying it like it is, dude. Obviously, me a fucking hardcore. It's my job to talk about the UFC. I love talking about this shit. I'm going to be excited for this. I'm going to watch this. But I'm trying to think about the hype going into it. Do I think generally people are excited to see Brendan Allen versus Rainier Derrida? Probably not, dude. Right? What are we going to get in this main event for Oliveira versus Gamrot? Like, we're getting Oliveira versus fucking Dariush 2, right? That's a banger to me. The Gamrot fight's a banger to me, but I can see people not being excited for that. You know, imagine if fucking Oliveira pulled out of this card. What would this card look like? Would you actually be excited for this fight night all of a sudden if the main event fell through? I don't think so. And that's where I see the flaw in this model, where it's not building people up. It's not promoting fights that are good on the undercards. It is just, hey, we got this main event. No one gives, you guys will fucking watch it so we can put whatever we want on the rest of the card. It's in Brazil. The only people we care about is the Brazilians. Let's put a bunch of randoms on there from fucking LFA and you know, Jungle Fight and shit like that. The UFC really needs to invest in making good main events, good co-main events, good opening fights on cards, and promoting the good fights that they do make. There should be at least 5 to 6 ranked fighters on a card, bare minimum. And we're seeing even pay-per-views that don't meet that standard. Even UFC 318 was fucking dog shit. And when they do put together a good pay-per-view, because UFC 320 is what I want to talk about as well. And I also talk about JDM versus fucking Islam Makhachev. The biggest thing that pisses me off is when the UFC has low-quality fights and you say something negative about it. People are like, dude, why are you complaining, man? They're saving it all for the pay-per-view. Dude, the UFC's focused on UFC 320. Not only is that not true, right? But it's not just the matchmaking, but it's like when they do make good fights, when they do put together a good card like this, like UFC 320, you will never catch me complaining about this card. I do not give a fuck what else is on these prelims. You have me with Prohaska versus Khalil. You have me with Marab versus Corey. You got me with Big Ank versus Alex Pereira. Right? I'm happy with this card. I'm totally sold, right? Same with UFC 322. Mate, fucking JDM on the fucking main event. I'm there, right? This women's fight, great. Leon Edwards versus CP, that's great, right? You've got me. I don't care. This is a great card. But the thing that fucking infuriates me is it doesn't matter whether it's a fucking Apex main event with 2 fucking jobbers like Steve Garcia and fucking David Obama as the main event, or it's literally Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira, potentially Alex's last fight, or JDM versus Islam Makhachev, the highest level welterweight title fight we've ever seen. They get treated exactly the same by the UFC. Control C, Control V. What's the question? Yeah, best we can do is 3 Instagram posts about Tracy Cortez being on the card. That's the only promotion these fights get. So that's why it feels like fucking copy-paste slop matchmaking sometimes, where it's like, it doesn't matter if the card is fucking spectacular or it's a bunch of jobbers from fucking Japan on the undercard and we get one ranked fight in the main event. The UFC just expects us to just chug it down, just watch it, and if you say anything, the fake hardcore is like, bro, why are you complaining, bro? Just watch PFL, bro. It's like, seriously, dude. Where are the fucking face-to-face interviews? Where are the fucking press conferences that are longer than 20 minutes? All we get to hype up a generational fight like JDM versus Islam. And I don't, and people literally have like self-gaslit themselves into being like, dude, this guy seriously thinks JDM Islam is generational. It should be treated like that, bro. This to me is a better fight than Canelo versus Crawford. I don't give a fuck about Canelo versus Crawford. This is a way more entertaining fight. Fact. This is a higher level, more intriguing matchup. Fact. Ilya versus Islam. Could you imagine if that gets put together? That's a bigger fight. more people should be inclined to see a high level MMA fight than a high level boxing fight. The fact that boxing gets way more promotion and way more viewership, and we get all this money pumped into it by Dana and the UFC for Canelo versus Crawford, can you please put that into JDM versus Islam? Can you please put that into whoever's main eventing the White House card? Can you please put that into, the main event of your fucking pay-per-views? But instead, all we get is fucking Nina Drama interviewing JDM, and we get fucking, a 20-minute press conference. Hey, Islam, what's it like to be in New York, man? Are you excited to be in New York, bro? Hey, Islam, why should I bet on you this weekend? It's like, fuck you. Dude, do you see what's so frustrating about this? Is like, especially as someone that like covers the sport, it's like the options are you get a good main event, a bunch of fucking random jobbers on the undercard because they're from the area. So it doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck about the fans at home that aren't there, right? And by the way, the tickets are $3,000. Or it's a great pay-per-view and you want people to be, and you're excited about it. And the UFC doesn't give a fuck about promoting it. They don't care. They don't want new people to see this shit. It's literally just, fucking IG posts. Oh, Big Ank is coming for the finish. Weigh-ins. They post the stare down Dana White gets on Instagram 2 days before the fight. What's up, fight fans? This weekend we got a badass fight card. There's no promotion in the build-up to UFC 320. No one's talking about Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev 2. No one's talking about Marab versus Corey Sandhagen. There's going to be zero build-up for JDM versus Islam, despite how massive that fight is. I do respect that the UFC made a press conference for Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane in Paris. I think that is a step in the right direction to hype up Gane and get more people to remember that fight. Why would you not, for UFC Perth Fight Week, have JDM and Islam do a press conference in Perth? Why would you not do that? Why would you not send both of them there and get them to have a little bit of a public press conference and get some people in the area like, oh, wow, this guy's fighting fucking Khabib's protege. Wow, this is a huge fight. Wow, this is going to be an MSG. Wow, it's a huge fight. Boom! Am I crazy? Am I fucking insane that I feel like you could capitalize on the fucking worldwide fan base? Because that's another thing with the UFC. I understand that they're heading towards a new model in 2026. I understand that towards the end of this year, we're going to be getting some fucking complete slop on some of these ESPN prelims and these ESPN cards because they're focused on going to Paramount, right? And I have no doubt that January Paramount pay-per-view is going to be generational. I'm expecting Ilia Topuria on that January card. I'm expecting, like them trying to get back McGregor for that White House card, and I'll talk about that later this week. But at the same time, it is like, dude, I understand that, but why is everything just built for the American fans when you have zero fucking champions? Why is it out of the realm of possibility? It's like, dude, this guy wants UFC to promote this shit like it's 300. Yes, I want you to promote big fights. JDM versus Islam is a big fight. That's the biggest fight that's been made all year, in my opinion, right? Aspinall versus Gane, promote that shit like you've been doing. Go to Paris, go to London, right? Do one in Abu Dhabi, the fight week. Do it on the beach like you did with Khabib and Gaethje. I think JDM versus Islam, there should be a press conference in Perth this weekend. There should be another press conference closer to it. Maybe in Las Vegas or something like that. Then you do one in New York the week of the fight. Maybe go to Times Square, something like that. Put some fucking effort in, man. Hype up these fights. Where's the Big Ank Alex Pereira promotion? That shit is literally 2 weeks away, not even. And there's zero fucking posting about it, zero actual promotion, nothing. It is just, let's just post a fucking IG stare down of Dominic Reyes, Carlos Olberg with 30 likes. That to me is no effort. The UFC doesn't give a fuck whether it's a great main event, whether it's a shit main event, whether the undercard is amazing, whether the undercard is terrible. The promotion is all the same. The fight nights, they're starting to just become the same formula of like, we'll just give them a main event that they want, and then the rest of the card, who gives a fuck? They're already going to watch it. And the pay-per-views, doesn't matter if it's stacked, doesn't matter if it's not stacked, they're going to buy it. We don't have to sell it to them. We don't have to promote it. We don't have to give them any beef between the main event. We don't have to do any stare downs. We don't have to do any fucking, one-on-one face-to-face interviews. We don't have to capitalize on any storylines on this card. Who gives a fuck, dude? Whatever. Let's just put some random debuting guy on the press conference instead of a fight that everyone wants to see. That to me is really frustrating. That to me is like lazy as fuck. And I hope that maybe it changes going into the Paramount deal, but those are the main things that I feel like the UFC needs to change. because I feel like pay-per-views generally have improved and they will improve next year, like I said, but we're missing promotion, dude. UFC puts all this money, and Dana White, like, I know he gets attributed to a lot of things he's not actually responsible. I know I like to say Dana oil up, Dana's cooked or whatever. I know Dana White is not individually matchmaking these Perth cards going, let's put fucking Jack Jenkins in the co-main. I know that's not Dana doing that, right? I know Dana White's job is to promote the UFC and run the business side of shit. He's not doing any of the shit that Hunter Campbell or Sean Shelby or any of these guys are, right? I know that. But Dana White was part of Canelo versus Crawford, right? Dana White was sinking money into that shit. He sinks money into fucking Callum Walsh, this boring little fuck on the Canelo versus Crawford card. Literally the most boring, forced down our throat, like industry plant prospect, like the bot nickel of boxing. Okay, except I saw him take a body shot, so fair plays to him on that. But my thoughts watching all of this Canelo Crawford shit and seeing how big it was, it's like, where the fuck is all of this from? Where was this from Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria last year? Where was that? Where was this? Where is it for Islam versus JDM? Where can we get some shit like that for Aspinall versus Gane, which could really use some hype, some beef, something going into it? For a fight that most fans are like, bro, why the fuck is Gane fighting for the belt? Get us something to fucking get invested in. Where is it for Ankalaev versus Pereira 2? Where is it for Merab versus Corey Sandhagen? Why is it that the only way you feel like you can make this White House card a huge event is by bringing back Conor McGregor? Mate, I'm fucking excited to come back. Yeah, you know yourself. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking head kick the Don if I have to. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, man? Where's the build-up? Where's the hype? Where's the promotion for these new fighters that are carrying the fucking sport? I shouldn't have to be talking to casuals about Canelo versus Crawford. Where is the hype for our guys? Why are you spending all your money and promotion on these other fucking things, dude? Where's all the hype for the fucking UFC main events? That's really what it is to me, man. It is the copy-paste matchmaking. It's the complete random NPC jobbers on the undercards of every single card, and no one's allowed to criticize it, or else you're not a hardcore. You're a casual if you want good fights on the UFC fucking pay-per-view prelims. You're a casual if you want good cards consistently across the board, even if that means getting rid of, daring to not have UFC Fight Night Bruno Silva versus Cavalcante. Daring to skip a week of UFC to put together some better fights. And the UFC literally skipped this week, and what do we get when they come back? It's Dominic Reyes, Carlos Ulberg, and the rest are nobody. You know what I mean? Like, that is what, that to me is fucking lame, dog. That to me is like, how am I supposed to get, like, hype for some of these cards, man? It's like, you get to fight week, and then the promotion starts. It should be the other way around. It should be like, you're like, holy fuck, I can't wait to get to fight week. I'm so hyped for this card. I feel like it definitely used to be like that as well with fights like Aldo versus McGregor. And that is why McGregor sold so many pay-per-views, because the UFC machine got behind him. And I know they don't want someone else to like have leverage over them, but it's like, do you not want to make more money? Do you not want to build up more like of a fan? I don't know, but this is just my rantings about the current matchmaking and the promotion of the UFC. I would say across the board, the matchmaking has got better. This card on the weekend is fucking dog shit, but the fight should be entertaining. And I've found myself saying that a lot recently, is like, the card itself is not good, but the fights will be good. And I feel like that just proves how easy it is to make entertaining fights. So I feel like it shouldn't be this hard to get consistent, high-quality fight night and pay-per-view cards. But let me know down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? Do you feel the same? Do you feel like I'm fucking tripping? What do you think it's going to look like when we go to the Paramount deal in 2026? Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting a video pretty much daily. I know I was kind of, every 2 days over the last week, but there was literally fuck all going on in the UFC. So I just kind of, made some videos that I thought would be good videos. I don't want to just force slop videos out. I feel like that's just lame. So I try to be a little bit more selective of what I'm uploading. But hey, we're going to be grinding the next couple of weeks with some of these cards. I'm going to do the promotion if nobody else will. So stay tuned for all of those videos. Subscribe to the channel. And go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA. I will see you guys in the next video, man. Goodbye.